What's up, Wei?
Hey, Chris.
Hey. All right, guys. Welcome to Coinversations, where we're going to be talking everything crypto in a very light and entertaining manner, but also informative. I'm Chris Tan. I'm going to be your host with my co-host, Weizo from Coins.ph.
Hey, Chris.
All right, Wei. So, hey, before we get started, maybe we should tell everyone who we are. I got a little bit of a simple resume. I'm just a I'm just a crypto vlogger. I got into it in Bitcoin in 2019, and I was an entrepreneur. But because of Bitcoin, I really got out of business, and I just kept everything in Bitcoin. And I just started talking about it because I love talking about crypto and Bitcoin. How about you, Wade?
A little bit of a more centralized journey versus your decentralized journey. So I started off in crypto in 2018. I have been working in TradFi for about 15 years. And then in 2018, I joined this small startup called Binance.
Oh, small startup.
Small startup. So I joined them the summer of 2018, and then as a CFO. And then where, the company was only about less than 100 people, but at that point, it was already pretty significant in terms of its presence and in terms of brand in crypto. And then when I was there, I worked there for about 3.5 years. And then basically helped them to build up a lot of their global expansion. So I was like, the title was a CFO, but I wasn't really that responsible for the accounting side or the financial management. I call myself more like a growth CFO.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny how you say Binance is small startup, but with less than 100 people in 2018?
It was about that size, yeah. Because when I joined, we had our 1-year anniversary in Thailand, and then it wasn't that many people because you kind of still knew everybody, by face at that point. Yeah.
Oh my God! And I know the volume that Binance does, the daily volume. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and I think one of the things that we did there was this thing called blitz scaling, which is basically try to grow as fast as possible on all fronts, and then try to release products, and to basically go global in terms of coverage as well.
Right.
So that was so for me, I basically, like I said, dropped basically into the center of crypto, and then that's where I really got into crypto, not just in terms of work, in terms of life, because I feel like once you're in crypto, your life changes.
Yeah.
Right. It's all encompassing 24/7.
Yeah.
And then also sort of your your portfolio profile changes over time as well.
Yeah, but when you got into Binance, I was wondering, like, did you get into crypto first before you got into Binance, or did you get into Binance and that's how you got into crypto?
Yeah, the origin story there is a little bit, I would say I was a user of the product first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a user of the product. So I, in my previous life prior to crypto, I was a, pretty successful sort of finance executive. I was CFO for a couple of startups. 2 of them went public in the US. I started off as a investment banker with Goldman. So, so I've been around money, been around doing investing, sort of helping companies to raise capital, and then also helping companies to scale. So just did a bunch of work. And then and then I had originally met CZ and Hui, who are the co-founders of Binance in Beijing in 2012, 2013-ish. So they were working at OKCoin then as sort of the CTO and CMO. So that was their origin story prior to Binance, and then I had known them. And then in 2018, this company that I angel invested in did an ICO, and then basically say, hey, we're listing on Binance next week. Open a Binance account, give us your address there. We'll airdrop tokens to you, and then there you can basically get return on this investment that I made. And I was like, what the heck is an ICO? I was like, I've done IPOs, I guess. And then what the heck is Binance? So I started sort of going down this rabbit hole of like, okay, I downloaded the app, I signed up, and then magically, like, I got airdropped some tokens. And then I sold it, and I was like, all of a sudden I have like a couple $1,000s of crypto on Binance. And then when I used it, I was like, this is like, I just hit a button and it sold. I was like, so everything was just like, it wasn't during trading hours, quote unquote. I was like, it's like 10 o'clock at night, when you're like, you're just like messing around with like, like with your wallet, with your money, and you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I started using it a little bit, bought some Bitcoin with the USDT that I had. And I was like, what the heck is USDT? So I started researching that because I heard about Bitcoin. And then I went on and I saw it. It's like, wait a minute. Like, this company's founded by E and CZ. I was like, wait, I know these guys, right? And I started going on their sort of like social profiles, like, oh my gosh, this is like, This is like first half of 2018.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. This was like I think people in crypto remember it was like kind of a monumental moment for Binance, but I think also for crypto, where like I think CZ was like on the cover of Forbes, right?
At that time already.
Yeah. At that time, he was like in a hoodie, you know. It was like so that was like so around that time. So I basically hit him up and be like, "Hey, remember me? like, you know, I'm doing some stuff, but kind of, you know, do you mind like." Is there an opportunity for me to like, you know, to work for you guys? Because for me, like what I had was like when I started trading crypto, the experience that I had was like, because I, you know, like I've traded stocks before, right? And then it's like, you know, it is what it is.
Yes.
Right? But you don't, because for stocks, like you can't just like withdraw it and move it around and do this with it, right? Because what I tell people like to get into crypto, first of all, you have to use it.
Yes.
Right. And then you don't have to own one whole Bitcoin, right? You can own like $1 worth, or like you can even own 50 pesos worth or 100 pesos worth of Bitcoin, right? You can own $10 worth of Bitcoin, right? So what I did is like basically I bought it and I, you know, like I send it to my downloaded a Bitcoin wallet, send it to that wallet, and then send it back. You kind of move it around. You're like, wait a minute, I can actually move this money around.
Yep.
24/7 without anybody's sort of like approval.
Yep.
Right. So I think that was when I realized this is like an alternative to the existing whatever money world that we're in. Like this is a whole new money world. And then I sort of saw the scale, and then at least, you know, the people that was building Binance was like, these guys know what they're doing, right? Like their product is pretty good. I mean, granted, I didn't use any other product. The only other product I kind of used that I think was Coinbase. And then Coinbase was just like, for me, it looked and felt more just like another version of E-Trade at that point. Right. It was just like, you know, like an older system. Right? And then like the Binance Black and Gold is kind of like, you know, kind of more like darker, edgier, kind of has that feel to it. So for me, that was like, and then I got pretty, you know, I was pretty lucky that, you know, they were looking for someone of my background and skill set to help them to basically just general, you know, strategy, growth, you know, M&A investments. So sort of like that was that was like it was like a very indeterminate kind of a role when I joined, but you know, I carved out a niche when I joined there. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. And dude, like I don't think anyone can just message CZ now and say, "Hey, CZ."
Well, I didn't message him.
Oh, you didn't message him. I thought you messaged him.
I messaged Z. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. But I mean, like you, of course, you know CZ, and
I mean now I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Okay, and then you're not. You know what? That would surprise me. You're not from the Philippines. You're not Filipino.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you here in the Philippines? And why did you buy Coins.ph? I mean, I know Coins.ph from before, and I'll tell you, I stopped using it.
Yeah.
And then one day I hear this guy bought it, ex-CFO, buy that. I'm like, why would anyone want to buy Coins.ph?
Yeah, it's like
it was dead.
It was like junky. It was like,
yeah.
It's junky, it was clunky, and it was ugly.
Exactly. I didn't want to use it because, man, you couldn't do anything with it. Yeah. I was like, okay, forget it. So what happened? Why the Philippines? What, did you fall in love or something? Why'd you come here?
All of the above. So I left Binance, I think summer of 2000, sort of like late 2021. Yeah. And then the other interesting thing was
sorry, I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Got to relax a bit, right?
But you were saying
no. So what happened was, as I mentioned before, I was like running. You know, I was doing a lot of the M&A when I was at Binance, right? And then, you know, and then one of the targets that we're looking at are basically, you know, regulated exchanges on a global basis, right?
Oh, okay.
Because I think because at that point in 2018, 2019, you know, regulation around the world wasn't that clear. Right. Sort of like, you know, what is crypto, right? Most people are still having that conversation. And sort of Coins.ph came on my radar actually like in 2019-ish when we're doing this sort of like this global screening for licensed exchanges. And Coins.ph was one of these sort of like licensed exchanges that had decent traffic in terms of user base in 2018 and 2019. Right? And Philippines as a whole is quite interesting in that sort of in 2017, way back in the day, like Philippines and Japan were actually two of the first countries in the world that had regulation around crypto.
Right.
And then Coins.ph had received its original VASP, you know, back then it was called VCA, Virtual Currency Act.
Yeah.
It had its original VCA license back in 2017.
Yep.
So sort of it's been on my radar. And then, you know, we couldn't do a deal when I was at Binance. We couldn't do a deal with Coins.ph because I think the founder Ron, credit to him, he had sold it to Gojek.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think it was under the Gojek regime where like things went, sideways.
Right.
So, but irregardless, I think we couldn't get a deal done. But I was able to do deals in other parts of the world, right? So we did deals in the U.S., Australia, Korea, Singapore, India, Europe, Africa, Latin America. So sort of like so for me personally, I had this sort of this knowledge and the skill set in terms of like looking at other exchanges and then looking at like what's more stable, what's more sustainable vis-a-vis sort of like what's what's feasible business wise. So when I left, Coins.ph was actually for sale. So Gojek had put it up for sale in the second half of 2021. And then I came in. I mean, I checked with ZZ. He's like, "Are you interested?" He's like, "No." They passed on the deal. So sort of like I got to check with the boss man, right? So right. So they passed on the deal. So I basically put together a group and bought the business. And the opportunity that I saw was, I think, threefold. One is I think Philippines, just like as a country, I think is very attractive from a crypto adoption perspective, right? Because I have this belief that in the more what I call the rich countries, the more economic developed countries, I think they will view crypto as at the end of the day, which is we'll get to that later. They view crypto as more of a financial product. So they view it as more of an investment product, right? Which it kind of is, right? But I think in a country like Philippines, where GDP per capita is like less than $4,000 or $5,000 a year, or less than $500 a month, people view crypto as a utility. Like I can actually earn crypto or use crypto in my daily life, and basically crypto actually brings economic activity, to the region, because people are going to view it as less of a sort of because to invest you have to have money to invest,
yes,
right? But where are you going to get the money in the first place? Well, crypto opens up many more opportunities to earn.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was when play to earn was a big thing.
Right.
And it's not as big as it was sort of a couple of years ago, but the opportunities still exist. Right.
Yeah.
It's just the magnitude is a much smaller. And I think we're going to see many more versions of blank to earn going forward with crypto.
Right.
So for me, I was like, okay, Philippines has this massive demographic sort of tailwind. Right. Well, like half of our population is under the age of 30.
Yeah.
It's 110, 20 million people. There's 10, 20 million that live overseas that potentially could be needing crypto to send money home.
Yeah.
Sort of for me is like, okay, first of all, is this just the overall demographic and sort of the economic position of the Philippines. Second thing is with Coin specifically, it has what I call sort of like a trifecta of licenses. It's got the VASP license, which allows it to trade crypto.
Yep.
It's got a payment license, which is basically you can use it as an e-wallet.
Yep.
And it's got an FX remittance license. So remittance, I think, is the big use case of crypto that we're still in the process of unlocking, right? So those licenses allows it, to do things. And the third thing I think is more of just sort of like I viewed it kind of like as a undervalued asset. It's not a distressed sale, but it is a sort of a special situations sell,
right?
Where like I can get in here, I can turn it around, and I can create a lot of value from it based on sort of my skill set. And then and then obviously, my ambition is not just to the Philippines, right? And I hope that what I hope to do is what we're doing now is take this business, find success here, right, and then use a lot of the know-how that we've built here, and then replicate it in other regions.
I think Philippines is the best place to start. You're right. Because if you think about it, I don't know a lot of other countries that have as much adoption when it comes to usage of crypto as Philippines. Like I've gone to the States. My friends there, they don't only know Bitcoin. They don't know DeFi. They don't even understand DeFi. They don't even know how to get on a MetaMask and go to a DeFi wallet and actually navigate through DeFi. They don't understand liquidity farming, nor playing games. So, but what was interesting was, so you were surprised that the Philippines was one of the first countries that kind of adopted digital currency. They didn't understand Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. They did it thinking about, when they say digital currency, it was more about the, like the Gcash, and it was just that. And they inadvertently opened up the regulation with that, not thinking about crypto. So people that knew crypto started applying for it because they knew that the BSP didn't really understand it. And then now the BSP kind of figured out, oh, okay, wait, hold on. We know what's going on. Well, for Filipinos, what was interesting for me was, I'd say 90% of the Philippines that got into crypto did not do Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yeah, 90% of them didn't even understand DeFi.
They probably got in because of the Axie game.
The Axie game, yeah. And I remember when that happened, it was because of the pandemic. People lost their jobs, and therefore they needed another income. And people that had businesses, what they did is they converted their employees from not working, staying at home, saying, hey, we'll be the manager. You work for this, and then we'll split the money.
So it's like the guild system, basically.
Yeah. They turned their companies into guilds. It was amazing how it happened. And when I saw that transformation, one thing I did notice was when you talk to Filipinos about crypto, a lot of them still didn't understand it, but they knew they were making money from it. And that was an amazing thing for me. Now, the thing is, now Axie's, not really doing, it's not really there anymore. Let's just be honest. I mean, I'll be honest. I already said it on my video anyway. I think Axie's going to have to do something really spectacular to come back from where they are right now, because with all the new games out there and everything. What is your take about, well, first I want to ask you, okay, so with regards to the altcoins and the GameFis, play to earn, is that still the in thing right now, or do you think we're going to other blank to earn, like you would say, or are we going to AI? Where are we going?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're basically at what I call sort of like the building phase of crypto right now.
Okay.
I think like what you've seen, like because I think Axie, we'll focus on Axie specifically, because I think that actually is a good starting point in terms of where sort of the general crypto landscape is. If you sort of look at what Axie's done, is they have found success in a single game. And then what they're building is basically they're using that single game to build a blockchain ecosystem under Ronin. So basically based on sort of what they've learned and sort of their community, they basically are launching a gaming blockchain, right? And they've successfully launched, I think, 5 or 6 different games within sort of what I call the Ronin blockchain within the Ronin ecosystem. And so sort of they've evolved, right? The game of Axie is still, there's still players playing it, but I'll be honest with you, like it was not the fun. People didn't play it for fun.
Right? Exactly.
People played it because there's an opportunity to earn at the tail end, at the end of sort of that process. And I think what you're seeing now the last few years is that, there's been more builders in the gaming world to build games that you kind of both play for fun, and there's opportunity for you to sort of earn at the end.
Right.
I think the earning size is probably not going to hit what we saw a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But if the underlying price, right, of this ecosystem goes up, then obviously the earning potential is going to increase exponentially. Because crypto is one of those things I joke around is like price leads the narrative.
Yes.
It's not. It's like when the price is doing well, then everything is justified. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? When the price doesn't well, then everybody's a rugger, and then everybody's like dog shit, right? So it's just sort of like, but and then what we're witnessing right now, I think, is just that because of the regulatory regime in the U.S. the last couple of years, builders just haven't been able to build stuff. I mean, I think full stop. I think there has been as more news are coming out, I think there's just been ever since sort of like FTX in 2022, for the last 2.5 years, 23 and 24, there's been a concentrated effort to basically, stymie the growth in crypto. And I think that has what I called delayed sort of the natural progression of the market. Imagine like a couple of years ago when there were like, 20,000 guilds that were in the Philippines. Right? I mean, imagine what happened if we sort of banked them properly. They could make payments with it. That ecosystem probably could have lasted a lot longer. Yeah, right? But so I'll come back to it. I just think that there were a lot of like external forces that kind of like forced crypto entrepreneurs and crypto money into like these narrow fields. Yeah. That sort of like stunted the growth, as I would say. And then instead of having like really cool DeFi, having really cool games with like a token system that's like that doesn't matter if it's a security token or a utility token or an NFT token. It's just that it's a token that you can make money from, right? You don't need this like governance token and a game token, and and then the economic value flows to the governance token, but then you have to like set up all these hoops and whistles to make sure the governance token is not a security. It's like if you build a game and then there's a token inside of it and people want to sell it, it's pretty straightforward. Right. Let them do it. Like, why do you have to go through all this complicated design just to make sure that you're not a security? Right? I just think that creates all types of headaches and not organic things. So that's why I think that stunts the growth. It's like if you have a kid, let them grow. Okay, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't go outside and play, you can't read, you can only do this. So what did we end up with the last 2 years? This retarded and crazy meme coin thing, right? Where I feel like because meme coins has zero economic value.
Yes.
Has zero ownership.
Okay? Zero utility.
Zero utility.
Nothing.
Because then it is not a security token.
Oh my God. Okay, that makes sense.
So like the only thing that people can launch are meme coins. Because if they launch something with use case and with economic benefits, that's a security token.
Oh wow.
So that's why you see like meme coins has a license to print.
Right. Oh my God.
All the bad I think it's sort of like, and I think that has just been taken on a whole new sort of like life of its own. And I don't think that's been productive, I think, for people that are actually building real protocols and real use cases.
Yeah.
Including, all the gaming developers out there that's actually trying to build something for people to play with.
Okay.
Right. But I do think that, that being said, the market, that is the market, right? And then we as investors, as companies, we read and react to what the market gives you.
Yeah.
Right. So coming back to sort of like, and I think we're on a path to return to sort of like, hey, if you want to build something in the world, just build it. Don't worry about this stuff that's not important.
Yeah.
Right.
But okay, but I wanted to add to that. When you talk about regulations, but then again, when you build on the blockchain, what are you referring to? U.S. regulations? Because I mean, if you're not going to have players from the U.S., then you don't need the regulations, correct? And other countries are pretty open, or they don't even have any regulations. So if you're just building crypto and you're not converting to any of the fiat system, you should be able to build without any regulation. If that was your argument, that's the only thing I'm trying to figure out.
But at the end of the day, I think like the quick answer, I think the answer to that is like yes, and we have seen sort of like what I call pockets of creativity, pockets of innovation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think one group of people that I've seen sort of like have found like pretty good success are sort of like within the Malaysian Chinese community.
Right.
I have seen sort of like people that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna build something.
Yeah.
Right. Like Jupiter on Solana.
Right.
Which is like the top DEX on Solana. You've seen the Virtuals ecosystem, which is like an AI sort of like just like an AI launchpad protocol, right?
Right.
These are actually, and then there's sort of like a couple of other projects that sort of came out of that region, sort of that region maybe, but outside of that other region, it's really hard to see sort of like success, mainly just because like the most of the money and most of sort of the like mainly money are still predominantly in the U.S. and then to a certain extent China and other parts of the world as well, but in general, like what I've seen is that how do I say this? It's much easier for people in sort of like like how do I say this? I think this is another part where I think Philippines has a massive advantage is like when a lot of the more successful builders in crypto, how do I say that? The mainstream language of crypto is English.
Okay. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And then that's why you don't see that many successful projects coming out of like a Japan or Korea per se, or even like other regions, is just because the mainstream language of language of crypto is English,
right? And
then being native, is really important. Like whereas because in crypto we're making up new words all the time,
right? Yeah.
My vocabulary in crypto is just like Like, there's new words coming out of crypto all the time, new terminologies, new phrases, right? New protocol, everything.
I can't keep up.
You can't keep up, right? Like even just like, what is today? There's like layers. Like, what is Sol layer? Solana layer protocol. Oh, what does that mean? It's like it's just like new words. It's like even you make words on like so just because of that, if you're not a native English, if English is not your native language, you lose a little bit of that, and sometimes more of that in translation. So if you're building, so that's why I think like most of the sort of the more successful protocols, English is sort of like the common language that ties them all together.
Right.
So like, Southeast Asia specifically, in the Philippines, we have a lot of people, we have, a lot of inherent, but then we don't have that many like devs. Like we just don't have, we don't have that many developers here. Right. We have a lot of ideas.
Right.
So what we've seen here are more sort of like what I call protocol layer innovation, use case innovation.
Yep.
Vis-a-vis what I call sort of like, infrastructure layer innovation.
Right.
Right. Whereas like, I think if you look at a couple of other communities, if you look at Japan or Korea, they've focused a lot more on gaming. Right. But the problem is that it goes back to before, like where are the users? Right. Yeah. And they've come here and try to get users. But I do think, some things get lost in translation for the games themselves.
Yes.
Right. And then even the people they send in here, you have just language barriers. Right. So that's like, that's something that I've kind of just sort of like observed.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, but you go back to the points like, well, the regulation only applies to America. No, it doesn't. It applies for the rest of the world because most of the securities regulator in the world still kind of follows US. Right. Even our SEC here, has been under the influence of sort of the Gensler SEC. If you look at sort of this position paper that our SEC put out recently, right?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of the policies, I think, follow the previous regime in the US. And what I tell in my communication with, not directly, but just sort of like with, some of the lawyers that we've been talking to and some of the industry groups I've been talking to is like, why don't we just wait? Like what's the rush of putting something out? And then having the U.S. basically is going to have, I think the U.S. is going to have a transformative, I think, we'll touch on this now, but we can just jump into it.
We can, absolutely.
I think we're going to see a landmark legislations and regulatory framework towards crypto coming out of the U.S. in the next 3 to 6 months. And because right now we have basically a new Treasury Secretary in the U.S. that just got appointed. And then the new SEC chair, I think, is still waiting for I think once that, and then, but despite that, there's already both, I think there was a new CFTC chair that just got announced yesterday, who is actually a former partner at A16Z, which is a total pro-innovation, pro-crypto investment shop, right? You got crypto mom, Hester Peirce, who's basically the, leading the crypto regime within the SEC, and then you basically have a crypto czar that's coordinating Congress on regulations. You're basically seeing the executive branch and the administration, the SEC agencies themselves working together to come out that's going to support crypto in the U.S. Right? So my recommendation to everyone here is like just chill, wait until see what the framework U.S. comes out with. And then if we are more aggressive in terms of regulating crypto than the American one, that we're gonna be falling behind.
Yeah, we're gonna lose out. Absolutely,
we're gonna lose out because all of our people are just gonna build toward the U.S. Or the money is gonna go to the U.S. I mean, that's exactly what Trump is doing right now. He wants to attract people, money, and talent to the U.S.
Right.